Okay, next, then I'm going to bring up one of the hardest working people I know right now, and that is Gene Cannon, right over here, who has spearheaded just a fabulous project that is getting attention all up and down the Gulf Coast. And I will proudly say, because of all the work she has initiated and because of all the people helping, she wrote the grant and submitted it to the neighborhood grant project to the county, and they approved us, and we were the #1 project. They'd never seen anything like it, and we scored almost a perfect score. No one else came close, and I'm very proud to say it. And they gave us a grant to help continue the mini reef project for the regeneration of the Grand Canal. There you go, Jean. You tell us all what you've been doing.
All of you guys. All right. So what? Let me stand up here.
Yeah. Want to take this on?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Thank you, Catherine. What I've got as an agenda today is to once again introduce my team. This doesn't happen by one person, and Siesta Key Association, as well as the Siesta Key residents, are a big part of that team. And then I want to talk about what we're doing now and what we see in the future. And then look at Sarasota Neighborhood Grant, which will start in a couple of weeks, and then how you can volunteer or assist if you'd like, and then some next steps for the project. All right, so first of all, to reintroduce my team, we've got myself, Jean, Phil Chocchio. Phil does a lot of our video as well as on the water work. Paul is excellent. He's also helping me today. He's also doing the Zoom video, and he will do the editing for the video for us. And then we have David Velocio. David is away right now, but David's been running the science team on the water. And what we've done also as a group is we've established a technical advisory panel called the Blue Water Coalition. This is in concert with Anna Marie Island. Eckerd College is doing a lot of their data sampling, data watering with them. And then Venice, a small group in Venice has an individual channel, and they're going to put in 100 mini reefs to reestablish the habitat. They may even put in some clams. That's one of the other things we'll be looking at for the future that I'll talk about. Key collaborations, we're working with Ocean Habitat to bring the mini reefs into the canal. Mini reefs are a polycarbonate box that goes under the dock on ropes that floats in the water under the dock, so it's not in the boating channel, but it creates a habitat that brings in oysters, brings in fish, and it also traps the algae for food. So it helps clean the water. Plus, it provides habitat for shrimps, crab, all kinds of different fish. We work with Outdoor Academy. And what we do here is we're bringing the students in to help with some of the research we're doing, and so they can do some other kinds of work with us. Moat Marine's been looking at what we're doing. And one of the things we've done with them is talk about different kinds of oxygen we would bring into the canal to do some improvements. We also have the Florida Waterkeepers, and we've been staying in touch with them and the work they're doing. Sarasota County, as you know, we're working with the grant, but we also work with environmental services, so we can stay in touch with their work on the water. And then we have the Gulf Coast Community Foundation that's been super with the community playbook, providing us, again, some insights as to how we can start to do education. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we did a pretty good job this year. We got more manatees in the canal than ever. We actually had one person called me. He put in 2 mini reefs, and just about 4 weeks ago, before the rains really started, he caught a 22-inch tarpon by fly casting off of his dock on the canal, which was absolutely awesome. He couldn't wait. I said he has to get pictures next time. We also have the Sarasota Bay Estuary, which is we got a grant from that we're working with them on giving some results. And as I said, special Siesta Key people that have been helping us recently. Carolyn Phillips has been helping us with chemical testing. We did some chemical testing right after the rain and got some really interesting, not really good results. but then we did some a week ago and they were back down to normal. So we want to do some of these kinds of things as well, so we can keep track of how the chemicals that are coming into our water, as well as the quality of the water for the marine life. And then Tony and Lorraine Sanford have been awesome. And we're running a nano bubble experiment test. We are one of the first individual residential areas to use nano bubbles. This is a big technology that Moat's doing to try to bring down the duration and the red tide outbreaks. And so we're putting that in one of the canals to test it, to see if we can bring the quality of the water up, increase the oxygen, and reduce the pollutants in the water. Nano bubbles may help us bring nitrogen out. That's one of the reasons we want to do it. So that's why we're doing chemical testing, so we can understand what nitrogen's in there now, what kinds of phosphorates are in there as well. So that's one. And then finally, we have dissolved oxygen. And Troy's helping us with this particular test with the dissolved oxygen. And that's being supported by this, the Bay Estuary program. So that's just to give you a recap of where we've been. Now, science on the water has been really important for us. Now, we've just really started. We're really kind of new in this. So we're learning we've been doing some water monitoring, chemical testing, as I talked about. We've got a baseline now for some of our canals. And we also have abilities to repeat those tests. We plan to do these quarterly, not more than quarterly, because you really and truly time over time, but we want to do them at different intervals, like when we get the rainy season and then after the rainy season. And then two projects, as I've mentioned, that are active are the nano bubbles and the dissolved oxygen testing. And we have a third project now that will be starting in Commonwealth, and I'll show you where that's going to be in Commonwealth. And that's going to be installing 30 mini reefs in 2 levels of the canal to see if we can really get a jump start, if the mini reefs will help us get a jump start at the mouth of the canal. And I know I've been on the Key for 24 years, almost 24 years. I've been in, 24 years. I used to walk and watch the mullet at night. I mean, all the time jumping in, and it was amazing to see them. And you actually did see people trying to come in and net them, but we haven't seen that level in a while. So that's the intent here, is to try to get that marine life back. Okay, so here's Tony on the boat and Dave out there doing the testing. And we also have, you can't see that picture very well. That's a mini reef with all of the growth. This particular mini reef has got oysters. The little dots here, those are oysters growing on this mini reef. It's only been in the water for 111 days. And look at the growth you see on this. So we know that these things will work, but we have to prove to a number of groups that we can do this and make the right kind of decisions. We have to be careful not to overdo it. So that's the reason for the chemical testing, to make sure we're still getting a balance in the water. All right, this is an example of the kinds of things we're collecting when we collect our water. You know, you can see things like the test time, the tide, the depth, the barometer, and then it gets into the dissolved oxygen, the connectivity, the salinity, the pH, the DO's dissolved oxygen. And we don't have a measure for turbidity. You have to have a special tool for that. So there's some things we can do and some things we can't do. And I'll come to what I need to do next in this area. But this is the kind of testing we're doing. And right now, we're doing this in canoes. So can you imagine we're leaning over the water, going in 18 inches with your hand to pick up the sample, and then keeping it capped and bring it up and not tipping the canoe over at the same time. So we have to do a better job to help our scientists do some of the work. We are getting some people with boats that are helping, but we need to do this once in a while so that we can really get a few more people out there. And by the way, my first picture showed the 4 segments. We're doing the canal in 4 segments. Let me go back to, you can just see what that looks like there. So we have one section. Here's the one with the Commonwealth area, and it comes on down. Then you get down here, it's definitely the village when you get Palm Island. And then you have one of these what we call the Ocean Beach Sierra Sands area. And this is where we have another test, is over in this group. And then we have Siesta Isles. Those are the 4 sections of the canal that we're doing. And we're actually doing the testing and breaking up by that so we can do comparisons as to how each section is doing. Next, This is the two study areas that are coming up. Now, when I say that we got 857 homes that have docks on the canal. We specifically took the canal because it was a closed environment where we can manage it and see what it looks like. It's 9 miles of waterway, so covering it with a kayak can be really challenging. All right, so we've got this canal, and what we're going to do is do 2 projects. And you'll see this is really the Sierra Sands, the ocean area is where one of the projects. And the other one with the 30 mini reefs going in is Commonwealth is up here. We'll be on these 2 legs putting those mini reefs in. And we purposely did it close to the mouth so we can see if we can build population that will come back into the rest of the canal. So this is what we're looking at. All right, so the 2 areas where our studies are shown there. Next, here's the Commonwealth Breakout. Now, what you're seeing is that the houses with yellow already have mini reefs, all right? So the yellow X's or mini reefs are already there, 1 to 2. And what we're doing, there's a drain, the red is the storm drain. We're concentrating more mini reefs around this area and around the storm drains to see, again, if we can continue to do better with the mini reefs around the storm drains to help, again, improve the water for the marine life. So this is an example of where we're going to be putting the 30 mini reefs in. Next, going forward, SKA will need standard set of tools on water collection for our data collection. In other words, scientific testing requires standard data and consistency in how we go about doing measurement. So having digital tools for our citizen scientists is going to be critical so that our standings and our results can stand up to the county and to the state. It's our intent to add our water samples to the county water keepers atlas, water atlas, so we can start really tracking it. So we're really excited about what we're doing, but again, we've got to move to the next step to make it better. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is we're doing this Nano Solution. So we went to that company and asked them, how do they test water? And they have this advanced nanotechnology. It's a buoy that goes in the water around a dock, and the instruments are in the center. And it sends out electronic information on the turbidity, on the dissolved oxygen, the temperature, the connectivity. This is done electronically. So anybody with a cell phone that knows the codes can go in and get the information. So this will allow us to bring in Outdoor Academy and other people to do some different studies based on the buoys that are in the water. And our intent would be we'd like to get at least 2. So we can put 2 in each section, then move the next quarter to different sections. So that way we can get all 4. The reason I say 2, they are expensive. You're talking the technology and all. And this one here runs about $7,000 to do it. But it's really worth it from what I see from the standpoint of the technology and the ability to be able to collect it without having to be on the water. The second one we have is what we call a YSI. And this tool here is a handheld device. This is what we're using now. We borrowed this from Venice. Venice has it with and it does provide turbidity, temperature, dissolved oxygen, but it's handheld, and you still use this device, this rod, that goes into the water, and that's where you collect the sample from. And then you have to clean it, and you have to be a little bit more aware of what you're doing when you're doing the data collection, whereas the other one's a closed-in system that's providing data. All right. And this one, honestly, is a little more expensive. It was $7,000, but it doesn't matter. We have to look at both of them. We have to do some comparisons to see what else. But those are the 2 we have right now. And that's one of the things I'm doing is researching this with different companies. So what else are we doing? Well, I didn't bring with me, and I meant to bring with me. I've been running into a lot of different people that are working on the water and trying to figure out habitat. And the Boy Scouts in Venice have created a string of oysters that hang on a seawall that you can put over your seawall, right on the seawall. And it actually acts as a habitat, again, to help animals grow. Like instead of your pilings, this is sitting right on the seawall. And it allows, again, the creatures to have something to hold on to so they can start to stabilize and build communities. The other thing we've been looking at There's plants that you can put at your seawall that will grow over the seawall and act as food, and they will attract manatees. The mangroves right now have been excellent food for our manatees. That's one of the reasons they're in the canal, is to go around Palm Island and different places. You'll see them off of Oxford because of the manatees that are in those areas. I'm sorry, the mangroves that are in the areas. We actually had a mother and calf, and the mother was showing the calf how to eat them, how to get the head out and eat them. So we want to encourage the manatees. And oh, by the way, the county will help you cut the manatees to fit your need. Like if you need a window to see out, they can show you how you can cut it to still keep it growing, but to give you that view that you really want to have. So a couple of things are coming up. We're looking at different things we can do, plants, as well as some different kinds of tools like the oysters that the Boy Scouts are doing. We want to continue to install our mini reefs. We're going to do it in October. The end of October, we will have more mini reefs to install. So I'm hoping people will sign up to be able to get a mini reef under their dock. Water testing and monitoring is absolutely key. And then we have other technologies, as I just talked about. Reef balls would be another area that's excellent, but we have to be careful because they could, if you put them on the bottom, they require a permit, which we're still trying to work on a way we can get away with it. But right now, you have to have a permit for a reef ball. So seawall applications I've talked about. We're doing the aeration, and we're doing storm pipe filtering by doing the mini reefs around the storm area where the storm drain is. So we can try to collect as much from coming out and cleaning it before it gets in it. Now, one of the things that's on here is the dredging and additional opening to the Gulf. This is a longer term problem and a longer term solution. Dredging can only be done by the county or privately. West Coast Inland Water District says that in Siesta Key, we need a public place for people to come into our waterway, for it to be declared a navigable waterway for West Coast to take care of dredging. And since we do not have a place where the public can go on the water, a restaurant, a boat launch, whatever it might be, then we are on our own for doing this. We can work with the county and set up a district, a taxing district, special taxing district, but that'll take approval of 65% of our voters to make that happen. So these things, we'll come back in the fall, put some of this around. I'd like to go to homeowners associations and bring this up as to where we are and the kinds of things we can do. And then along with that, I want to work with Sarasota County and our community on water awareness, education. And we all know, we get our lawn people come in, they cut the grass, they trim the bushes, and what do? They blow it. And where does it end up? It ends up in our waterways, and our water is green. If you haven't noticed, it's not blue, it's green. And it's green because we have a lot of green in there, and that's the leaves and the branches. We have to work to get that out. So it's one of the things I'll be talking about. We can help ourselves in certain ways. So it's something you'll be seeing us talk more on. Next steps. Continue the data inventory and mapping. It's really key to make sure we know where we are. Install our habitat. Create more teams of citizen scientists. And if we can, get the testing down so it's simple that people can monitor and they can actually see what's going on. Schedule workshops on our findings and what we can do both in and on the water. And then upcoming news, we're looking to get our website needs to be brought up to date. I honestly, probably around March or April, I stopped putting as much on, and it needs to be brought to where we are today. So that's something that has to happen. It's one thing to do the work, but I got to make sure we do the paperwork or we'll never get information out to everybody. Community outreach and education is what we're going to come up with next. We need to make sure we're going out to different areas and doing outreach on what we're doing and what we've learned. And then finally, how can I volunteer to help out? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can. We need people to help with our inventory. We need help with spreadsheets and our data management. And we need some people that can handle the graphics. And we also need some project help, meaning documentation for timekeeping and things that are going back to our grants, and then assist with the community outreach and education. So I put our email, the Sarasota Association 1947 @gmail.com down. And this is where we, the Siesta Key Grand Canal group is getting most of our information is from this website's where we're getting our email specific. And I want to thank CSTK residents and you guys and CSTK Association members for your help and your ownership of this project. So thank you very, very much.